Welcome to another episode of Silicon Minds Human Hearts. Today we're talking with Catherine Kurtz from AQ22. Welcome, Catherine.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. We're glad you could also make time in your busy agenda of a booming startup.
Of course.
Could you please introduce yourself? Who is Catherine Kurtz?
Yeah, so my background is mostly within business and entrepreneurship. I have had other businesses before AQ22, other ventures that I'm still an owner of. But at the moment, for the last 3 years, my world is mostly evolving around AI agents. And for the last 1 year, we're really building what AQ22 is today. So that's a little bit about me. I'm a business person turned into AI field, and I mostly work with, commercial side of the business.
Okay. Always in the tech industry?
Yes.
So a techpreneur.
Tech person for the last 10 years
within
the tech industry, but not, more on the selling side.
Yeah, okay. AQ22. The name on itself doesn't really ring a bell about what it could be.
Mm-hmm.
So please tell me, what is AQ22?
Of course. So we're building AI agents for financial analysis. That's how I like to put it in a very simple manner. In a nutshell, our vision is to build the very first agentic banking system. So we are focusing on optimizing internal processes. We're starting with lending and commercial assessment because that's what makes up the biggest part of the bank's revenue, and that's where a lot of complex scenarios are as well, where our agents can help. But that's only the very first step. So we're looking into the organization as a whole and how we can actually use these agents to help with internal processes, not only within credit assessment. So that's where we are and what we're building.
So I guess it's not purely a chatbot that will be used for me I want to do some transactions. It's more on automating the internal side of what's happening within a bank. Can you give some examples?
Yeah, so for example, right now we're working with loans. So credit officers have a hard time manually going through hundreds of loans, also keeping up with the existing clients. So that's where we come in. We have a swarm of agents working together and helping out with from the beginning of the underwriting process, where you have gathering of data from the client's application, to creating a credit memo to make it easier for people to decide whether or not this is a client that the bank wants to take on. So this is one of the workflows, one of the many workflows that we're working on. This is where instead of, for example, spending 40 hours or having to make a decision in 2 months, you can actually have a credit memo in 30 minutes.
You talk about a swarm of agents. Mm-hmm. How does it work? Most people know an agent, it's something you've given something to, some message, and then it does something, but a swarm?
Yes, so swarm intelligence is a technology that we're building on. And we initially imagined hundreds of small agents working together, sharing information between each other. And in that manner, it's easier to, first of all, work with accuracy of each agent because each of them have very specific tasks. For example, we have a financial analysis agent that only works with that. We have a legal agent that works with legal documents in the application process. We have many other like fraud agent that checks for the fraudulent documents. So just having like swarm of agents, usually it's around 6 or 5 agents working in a swarm, sharing information, and then having like hundreds of these small swarms working 24/7.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So instead of having people who are focused on one particular task, you have an agent who's focused on one particular task, and then probably one person who orchestrates all the different kinds of tasks.
Exactly, and then we have a control agent that always looks after all the swarms and
Okay. Yeah. So I guess you're focusing on the financial market, but that's a concept that can be used in different kinds of organizations.
Mm-hmm. It is. And I believe that especially in other fields like retail, you name it, it can be any kind of other industry. the same concept applies, and we do start seeing more and more of this technology being applied. And with the latest news in the AI world of like running smaller, cheaper models and still having them performing quite well, I feel like that's the future.
But let's be honest, the financial industry, many of them run on quite old systems.
True.
How do you do integration with those ones?
Yes, that's a good question. So around 80% of all banks today, especially traditional banks, still run on old legacy systems that some of them date all the way back to the 90s. And for so many years, it was just easier always to develop an application on top and add like another layer to the old system rather than to change it. Also, the migration is like a huge project, very costly, a lot of human error that can happen along the way. What's happening right now with the AI technology coming into the space is that there's now an opportunity actually to have agents to help you with also migration because of less of opportunities for human error. And also traditional banks slowly start to understand that if they want to keep up, especially with AI technology, it won't be just easy to like put another layer on top of a very old school system and kind of make it work, which is why neobanks are also gaining more advantage in these days. But to get back to your question around the integration, for the moment, the technology that we're building is like an easy layer connecting to your databases, connecting to your internal information. Also, we're working with Moody's and having alternative data sources that we connect with. But it's not like that you need to change something within your internal banking system. So for the moment, it's quite easy. It's like a layer on top of what you already have.
Another layer for
Another layer to slowly start helping you change some of the processes within, because it won't happen just like that in banks.
No.
Yeah.
So it's somehow the same. There was someone who quoted, they don't know from who it comes, but AI is not taking over your job, but it's the person who's making use of AI. I guess it's going to be exactly with banking system. If you as a financial institute are not going to start implementing AI, another bank is going to do it.
Exactly.
And you're going, going to be bought up. Let's say it like that.
Exactly. And like during the last couple of years, we were also witnessing a lot of top tier banks introducing their own internal models, also building their own agents, leveraging some of the existing, agent infrastructure. But those projects are always like expensive and take a long time. So now we will see a huge shift in how banking is done, and of course, who's going to have the advantage when it comes to introducing new technology.
So although migrations might be very costly for them, although with agents they might be maybe a little bit less costly, they will still need to do it at the end.
Yes, and just yesterday I saw like a new company, don't remember the name entirely, but something with Rhino, where they're basically going to help enterprises migrate with agents as well. So it's coming.
Yeah,
it's coming.
That brings us a bit to a question I want to ask you as well, as how do you see the future? We have agentic solutions, like what you're building right now. What are we going to get next? What do you personally think?
So I believe that the future is agentic in finance and in many other fields. A lot of people talk already about like B2A, A to A, business to agent to agent interactions. And I also believe that's the future. And whatever you're building today, it's important to envision like how will that interface for your clients will look like in the next like 3 to 5 years. What if your client has their own agent? Now, if we're talking about people, what if I have my own agent? I don't have to go to the bank anymore. My agent does all the talking, right? How will the bank then interact? What kind of agents the banks will have? So there's a lot of questions, as you can hear, that I have. But I believe that we need to start already planning for agentic interfaces, whatever the industry you're working within.
I think the idea you gave from B2A, if you just look at how we have, for example, also smart fridges, and a certain time those fridges might actually order our groceries.
Yeah.
But now we have the shops who play with advertisements to make us buy certain products. How are they going to change the attitude of a fridge to buy their product compared to another? That's also one of those questions. So
Yes.
how are we going to choose a bank if an agent is going to do our finance for us?
Exactly.
So it's quite interesting how we're going to.
I would say, just to add on top, like if you're preparing for that era right now, it would be probably great to make sure that your SEO, search engine optimization, is on point because agents will be reading whatever they grab from the internet. So if you're gonna market yourself right now, it will be helping you in the future.
Yeah, but the agent might read underneath the psychological part of
Yes.
advertisements.
Yes.
Okay. Now, one last question. We use in our day-to-day life a lot of AI tools, sometimes without even knowing, or we are so used to it, like self-driving cars. Is there anything particular that you really enjoy in your life, which already makes use of AI?
Yeah, there is one thing. I think it's super simple, but it helps with such a big part of my life that I would recommend it to anybody. So it's called Ella AI.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like an integration, it's like a plugin with your Gmail. And you can just with the click of a button respond to an email. Like that one function has been so helpful because every day, we get hundreds of emails. And just to be able to choose a tone, quickly click write, respond, that has been a huge time saver for me.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a great tip for many people to
Yeah.
have a look at that. Catherine, thank you very much for your time. Looking forward to where AQ22 is going towards to. Well, let's hope they conquer all the financial institutes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.